I am happy to have Automotive Seminars as a sponsor for the show. Now, if you're not familiar, Automotive Seminars is a diagnostic technician training company. They've got a website that there'll be a link to in the show notes. And what they offer is top-notch training to technicians like us in the field. I've been taking their training courses for years and have got a ton of benefit out of it. They've got top-notch instructors, John Thornton, Scott Shotton, Scott Manna, and every other month they've got a 2-night course that you can sign up for. Join in, ask questions, and afterwards, you've paid for the course, you can access a recorded version whenever you want. You can rewatch the class 2 years later in case you wanted some details on it. And that is a fantastic feature. So make sure to check out the website to see what courses they have available and what's coming up in the future. This podcast is brought to you by Jarhead Diagnostics. Jarhead Diagnostics manufactures in-house diagnostic equipment and storage solutions, as well as distributes for companies like Pico, ATS, and Topdon. One of my favorite tools that I've bought from Brandon and Jarhead Diag is the case for the U-Scope. If you don't have a U-Scope, you probably should, but if you have one, you got to get one of these 3D printed cases, has a magnet on it, has a full-size BNC lead that you can connect to, and it gets rid of the weak point of that scope, which is the mini BNC connection, which is pretty fragile. This case makes this thing nice and secure and makes it an even better tool than it was. So check out jarheaddiag.com. The link is in the show notes. This episode is brought to you by L1 Automotive Training and Keith Perkins. If you're looking for education on module programming, J2534, EEPROM work, key and immobilizer, electrical diagnostics, or drivability diagnostics, Keith has a website, l1training.com, that's got over 60 hours of training videos on all those subjects and more. When I first started out doing mobile, I utilized Keith's videos on module programming in J2534 in order to get my head wrapped around what I would need for the tooling, the computers, the software setups, what kind of obstacles I would be up against when I'm out there programming modules on cars. And it was a huge benefit to me. And I continue to use the training videos that he has on his website. So I strongly recommend checking out l1training.com. We have got Auto Rescue Tools and Isaac Rodell as a sponsor for this podcast. Hey guys, if you're looking for programming laptops, you want the laptop set up ready to go for programming control modules on vehicles, you need key cutting equipment, you need diagnostic tools, Isaac is your guy. Has all that stuff available for purchase, and the support that he offers along with the purchase has been outstanding. I bought some stuff from him in the past. I got my Dolphin key cutting tool from him several years back. And again, the support has been phenomenal. Helped me out along the way with anything additional I needed to make it work for me. Also, for the month of June 2023, they've got Autel updates for sale. So make sure to check that out as well. Again, that's autorescuetools.com. The link will be in the show notes. Welcome to the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. We're going to explore ways to sharpen our diagnostic skills, find learning resources, and hear from experts in the automotive field. Hey, what's going on, automotive world? Welcome to another episode of the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. My name is Sean Tipping. Joining me on the show today is Brandon Dills of Jarhead Diagnostics. Make sure to check out the website link in the show notes. Brandon joined me on the show as one of my first or earlier guests on the podcast in the spring of 2020. And at that point, he was still working for an independent repair shop,
had just gotten his 3D printing tool business going, and was shortly thereafter going to venture out on his own, which he did. Since then, he's been doing mobile work, and he's got a brick and mortar shop that we're going to talk about, getting into ADAS stuff, just all around being a successful entrepreneur in a short period of time. I mean, less than 2 years, he's taken on all kinds of challenges and have been very successful at doing so. So that's what I wanted to talk to him about. And that's going to be the conversation. So with that out of the way, let's jump in. Well, what's going on, Brandon?
Living the American dream.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah, you got all kinds of stuff going on, man. It's crazy.
Too much.
Yeah. Well, that's probably going to be one of the things I want to ask you about is, yeah, how do you, every time I turn around, you got something new going on
Yeah.
Facebook, and how do you manage it all? What's the strategy there?
Work a lot of hours. Like this morning, my dog nosed me in the face at like 4 o'clock. Like, hey, I got to go to the bathroom. I was like, looked at it. It was like 4 o'clock. I kind of rolled around for about 20 minutes. I was like, oh, I guess I'll go to work now. So I came into work at 5. I was in the shop about 5 this morning, and then been going ever since. So
Damn.
yeah.
Yeah, that's at what do they say? The self-employment, you'll work 80 hours a week, so you don't have to work 40.
Yeah. That's where I'm at right now. So
Oh boy. Well, I do know the feeling, just trying to do the teaching and the mobile at the same time. Sometimes it's like when both are a heavy load, and it comes at the same time, it's like, oh man, I basically work from the time I wake up till I go to sleep. And that's it. Like, even if I'm at home, kind of like relaxing on the couch, I'm on the computer doing something for one of the two jobs. And so,
yeah, that was me today. I came in this morning and did a repair on a Honda Accord. It was a oxygen sensor. Been to 3 other shops. Each shop put a new oxygen sensor in it. Still didn't fix the issue. So I had a broken wire. Fix that. And then I started unpacking my ADOS stuff that I just got in. Then went and did a mobile. Came back. Diagnosed another one. Went out and did another mobile. Came back. Fought some fires here. It's just all day long.
yeah. Well, okay. So where do we start? So, I mean, obviously I've talked to you since then, but the first time I had you on the podcast was early in 2020, I believe, the spring of 2020. Yep. And I think you were still working at a dealership at that point, or just leaving a dealership, I think.
Well, so my last year and a half, or almost 2 years of working for somebody else beside myself, was kind of rocky. But that last year, the last time we talked, I was at an independent shop, and we closed the podcast, and I was like, hey, just so you're aware, like within the next 2 weeks, I'm going full time.
Yeah. Right. And you just taken off from there with so many different things.
Yeah.
And I got questions about the individual stuff, but what's been the motivation or the inspiration to make all of this stuff happen in such a short period of time? Because I mean, I can only imagine it's just a ton of work.
Yeah. I don't know. I see what I want in my future, and I guess I'm just like, well, why wait till my future? I just want it right now. So I just start grinding it out, and then I get an opportunity, and it's like, do I jump on that opportunity, or do I just kind of sit back and continue doing what I'm doing? So anytime an opportunity's happened for me, I've just kind of jumped in after it. So.
Okay. I asked Keith Perkins this too, because he was a similar scenario where he left his job at a shop, and then just it's that hockey stick graph, right? Just up to the stratosphere as far as what he's got going on. And I asked him, I was like, did you have all of this planned out? Like, did you have a grand master plan? And he told me he really didn't. It happened the way it happened. Yep. What about you? Did you have these ideas and these plans for what you got going on now, or
not at all? So whenever I got out of the Marine Corps, I was trying to figure out what I want to do. I went into a shop, and from that time I was like, I'd like to own a shop. Maybe I'll do that one day. And then then Jarhead started making the tools and everything, and then that kind of pivoted me to be able to do my own thing, and then went mobile. Then the tooling kind of grew to where I ran out of space, and so I rented or bought a building for the house. Like the day that I moved in, I ran out of space. It was insane because I guess I just not underachieved, but I didn't think it was going to go that fast. And then we leased the warehouse this past August, and right whenever we leased it, all the shops that I was servicing mobily were like, "Oh, you've got a location. We'll start sending you customers." So then one thing kind of led to another, and it was like at least once a week I was having a customer here, and so now I'm kind of at where I'm at, which I guess that'll probably lead into one of your other questions here in a minute, I guess.
Yeah. Well, with the tools, you got a whole like wall of 3D printers now. At least I think that was the picture that I saw on Facebook.
Yeah, it's hang on, let's see if I can. They're kind of over.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah. Well, shelves stacked full of the 3D printers there.
Yeah, that was another thing. It was I was making the tools, and I was like, well, I was working full time. It's how do I let my idle time where I'm not working still make me money? And so we started looking at 3D printers, and I was like, try it. Worst comes to worst, it doesn't work, and I'm out $300. But
yeah, now
the $300 has turned into, I don't even want to know how much money I've got in printers. So
yeah, it's crazy. The income goes up, but so do the expenses. And
yep, 100%.
It's nuts when you start adding that stuff up, for sure. Well, and it's weird for me. I know when I buy a tool now, I'll drop. I just bought a scan tool, right? It was just about $4,000, right? And in the scan tool world, I actually got a 608 because I have a 508, and I'm actually probably going to sell it, but I wanted the Autel scan tool side of things.
Yep.
Which that wasn't part of my arsenal. And I was like, well, I don't know. I was looking at the Ultra, I was looking at the 919, and I was like, I'm just going to get the 608. But anyways, it's about $4,000 or so, which that's a lot. That's a lot of money, at least to me, right? To just drop on something. But now with my business, and it's bringing in money, I just don't feel that way with the tooling, right? Whereas if it was a personal item for me, like let's say, I don't even know what I'd buy for $4,000. It'd have to be a vehicle.
Yeah,
it'd have to be a vehicle. Nothing in my home I would purchase for $4,000. But the tooling, I'm just like, that's a pretty good price. Okay, cool. Here it goes. And the amount of money that you're sending through on this stuff, it's strange that it does't affect you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The scanner's hanging up.
Trust me, I know. It's the same thing because last year, whenever I first got started mobile, I started and I had my Veris Edge, I had an Autel 906, and I had an Autel J2534, and that's what I started with.
Mm-hmm.
And instantly outgrew it because I ran into some stuff where I needed to do a mobilizer. And I was talking to Isaac. I was like, what should I do? I was like, my 906 was coming up for, an update. And he was like, just get the 608. And literally since then, the 608 has probably been my go-to. Now I've got the Topdon Phoenix Plus, the smaller one, and I really like that one. It's got the topology in it and stuff.
Yep.
But with what that 608 does, you just can't beat it for an all-in-one unit. It's pretty freaking amazing.
Yeah, with the J-Box and the EEPROM and stuff, that's why I was just like, yeah, I think that's the best deal. So I have the Phoenix Plus as well, but I'm a complete idiot and I lost the VCI for it. So I'm waiting to get a new one. I'm in talks with the suppliers, and they said they're getting some in next week. So I'll tell you, there's one thing I'm bad at is it's those little Bluetooth dongles. And so I just need to put a freaking cord on it or a flag on it or something. Cause I'm pretty good with the rest of my stuff doing it mobile, but for whatever reason, when I get busy, that's the one thing I forget is when it's small and tucked up under the dash. And
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I know what vehicle it was in, and I called the shop. They're like, yeah, it's not in there. So I don't know what happened, but it's gone. So
yeah, a lot of my smaller ones, I'll put either like a long lanyard on it or an OBD2 extension cable, just so it dangles down. And I got a Maximus 3.0, which is, Matco's launch stuff.
Sure.
And I used that for the first time because I haven't hardly used it here recently the other day. And I was like, the Bluetooth extension cable was getting in my way, so I took it off. The vehicle I took it off on, I left the dongle in. So
yeah, yeah, that's the way it goes. Yeah, so you've got a brick and mortar shop now too that you put a hoist in. I saw that, and then are you setting that up to be like full service and repair, or what's the plan there?
So right now it is Jarhead Diagnostics LLC DBA, Small Town Automotive Technologies. I wanted to kind of separate the name, so I just go by Small Town for the shop. Just since I service, a bunch of repair shops, I didn't want it to be. Just in my own mind, I didn't want Jarhead to be there, and then shops could have animosity or whatever.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's in the very early stages. I mean, we're getting about 2 to 3 cars a week, but I still got all the other stuff going on, so I don't really mind it. I wanted to kind of grow more organically than, let's just open the floodgates and take in the cheapest oil change I can get. That's not what I'm after. So,
right.
And then like my brother, he's been kind of unhappy where he's at, so he's in the talks. He's probably gonna, whenever Small Town Automotive Technologies completely splits from Jarhead, he's gonna kind of buy in as a part owner of that. So he'll help me. He's gonna help me run that. I'm gonna be the main owner. He's gonna own a big part of it, but so he's gonna help run that because, like you said, I just don't have time in the day. So
yeah.
I kind of want to get to where just in general, I'm able to sit back and manage the business. And if I need to do tooling, I'll do tooling. If I need to repair a car, I will, or service advice. I mean, I can just stand back and help everybody. So
sure. I know I had talked to you. It's probably would have been, I think, last spring, about you had an employee for a period of time, and I was considering hiring somebody the past summer, and it didn't end up happening for me. But what was that like? And then, do you have anybody right now as far as employees?
So, you know what it's like being mobile. It takes a very special breed. So we parted on good terms. Probably right before you talked to me is when we parted ways. But then about 3 months ago, I hired a lady named Heather. She's doing a lot of the tooling. So if any of your packages are shipped or anything like that, or even a lot of the production, she's doing a lot of that. So that's helping out a lot. And she's kind of taken over that. And I'm going to put her, kind of in a management role, because I have dreams and aspirations to where people laughed at me a while back, but I'd like to compete with AES Wave. I want Jarhead to kind of grow to something similar to that. So I'm I'm in the process of getting her set up to where she can help push it to the next level, and then we'll go from there.
That's awesome. Yeah, finding the people that are the right fit for the kinds of things that we're doing is not an easy task.
100%.
That's cool. Yeah, I was looking into it, and I wanted to train somebody in over the summer to kind of handle some of my workload during the school year. That was the goal. Here, go do these GM programmings. And well, I guess I'm glad I didn't, because as it turns out, the GM programming turned out to be a disaster in the last couple months, which would have been right when they're starting full time, is the TLC stuff where no VTD learns, and who knows if it's going to crash. And I don't know, it was down today. And so but I was wondering, I was like, is this really going to reduce my workload, for what I'm looking at, if I bring somebody on, or is it just going to be the same amount of work? I'm just doing something different, instructing or guiding or putting out fires.
See, Isaac was talking about that. He would like to hire somebody and just kind of let them go out. And even if all they're doing is hooking up the tooling, and he just remotes in whenever it's ready and does the button clicking, which it would. I mean, if you've got a lot going on, I mean, you're not the one having to sit in that seat for, an hour for that programming, 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back and all that. So it eventually would save you some time.
Yeah. Yeah. I just gotta do it right. But, for now I'm going to keep, rolling solo and see how it goes for me.
Yeah.
I've got some decisions to make in the next year or two on exactly the path that I want to proceed on. And I don't exactly know what I'm going to do, but, I'm working on that. So we'll see what happens. But, you got a big box of ADAS stuff the other day. What's going on with that?
Well, once I got the warehouse, I was like, well, I mean, I've kind of got a space to where I can now. So, we were at ASTE, and I was talking to Kip from Advanced, and he was like, you should really look into the ThinkCar ADAS system. It's an excellent price right now. So
okay,
I looked into it, and it was an excellent price. So I kind of went home with it, and I literally just unpacked it this morning. Well, most of it. They're on a promo right now, and it's got like the ThinkCar standard set, but then it also comes with the different radars and everything for radar calibration, and you can do windshields with it. So the promo's got like all the extra bells and whistles, and I wasn't expecting all that. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I saw on Facebook some people are getting worked up about aftermarket targets and all that stuff.
No. All right. So your buddy Matt Fonslow, and I was messaging him last night. I didn't expect for that post. It was just like, hey, I got an ADAS kit and everything.
Right. You just
and he went ape about it, to the point. Have you went back onto that Facebook group?
I haven't checked it recently. No, I just saw somebody's getting all worked up.
No, it's shut down. From that post, the main owner, or what you would call it, of that Facebook group killed my post because all I did was post that, and then that one guy went crazy and was like, nah, and just archived the whole group. So the group's no longer there. So this big ADAS group is just gone. And all I did was post hey, I got a ThinkCar ADAS kit.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, I get the factory tooling thing, and I have factory tooling for a reason, but man, some people they take it very personally. If someone else doesn't use only factory equipment, and I don't know.
Well, you can talk to a lot of people, and I'm just kind of getting into the ADAS, so don't quote me. But from my understanding is a lot of the aftermarket targets can be used with factory tooling. So if I need to do a programming and they want factory, then I guess technically I could use it, like the targets with my factory tooling that I already have. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, so much of it is the car. You know, you're just instructing the car to do something with a scan tool, right? I'm not an ADAS expert at all, so maybe I'm talking out of my ass here. But as far as I'm aware, you're just pressing a button. You're telling the car to do this calibration. So if the car is good, your measurements are right, and target is good.
Yep.
I mean, I don't see an issue with it. Yeah, theoretically. Yeah, I think the people that are getting on that ADAS thing now and over the last few years are going to be set up really well in the next decade when this becomes just so commonplace to have an old vehicle with the stuff that is broken or miscalibrated or needs calibration. And I mean, the people that know it well because they've already started to immerse themselves in it and they know it and they've experienced it, they're going to be in such a good spot, I think. And if you got the space and the money to invest in it, why not get your feet wet and then start getting into it, because everything has it, right? Isn't it a requirement on a lot of vehicles to have certain features now on brand new cars?
I think so. I know like Toyota requires it on their vehicles. But I mean, it's to the point now, a lot of the newer cars, you can't even replace a windshield without being calibrated. So, so I mean, the market's there. It's just trying to get people to understand that the market's there. So,
yep. One of the other, the guy who does mobile programming down in the cities where I'm at, he has a big time operation and he does ADAS stuff. But I was talking to him, this was a couple of years back, and he's like, yeah, I'm focusing on windshield calibrations for enterprise and for like body shops and stuff, because it's needed. You have to do it. It's part of the insurance thing, especially in body shops. And then if you have the equipment to set up, it's relatively easy to do, and just boom, 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 profit. You're good. So there's a big opportunity there coming for the aftermarket shops that typically see, 10-year-old or plus vehicles, right? And it's coming now that you're going to start getting this through with every vehicle. And why not be the guy that can do it?
Well, yeah, I was talking to Kip. I called him after I got it, and he told me, he's like, hey, call me and we'll discuss some like marketing techniques. And he told me, and I didn't even pay attention or really think about it. He said, body shops or windshield companies, 50% of their vehicles have to have a calibration. He said, that's a low number. It's probably up closer to 70. And I never really even thought about that. But if you really think about it, a lot of the body shops are getting newer vehicles that are under warranty or not under warranty, under insurance and all that other junk. So,
sure. Yeah. Do you work with a lot of body shops for your mobile stuff?
To be honest with you, I can count on two hands how many body shop stuff. We don't have a ton of body shops around here, and most of the ones that are in the general area are attached to dealerships, so I don't really get too much into it. The biggest one in the general area, I was going to approach them once I get the ADAS kit fully put together and figure it all out. Approach them about doing the ADAS, but they're only about a mile from me, so it's not too terribly bad. But being that they're attached to a dealership, most of their stuff is ran through the dealer. So,
yeah, I actually only have one, and I haven't made an effort to actually go out and seek out body shops. But most of the mobile guys that I talk to are like, that's where the money is to go to body shops, because you get a lot of, this is what I'm told, is you get a lot of electrical diagnosis, and some of it might be challenging, but some of it might be very easy because they maybe don't necessarily have the skill set to handle even basic electrical stuff. So you find an open wire, that sort of thing. And
installing a ground with a plastic push clip.
Yeah. Okay.
I've seen that. So
okay. I suppose that's not going to work too well. Yeah. So I might seek that out in the future. It's weird. Everybody's, their geographical location where they're at is different. Everybody I talk to, for whatever reason, transmission shops are my overwhelming majority of shops that I service. And I was asking myself, why are there so many transmission shops around where I'm at? I don't know, but that's just how it ended up for me. And it's not necessarily that for somebody else that's in a different state or a different city. Talking to PJ, he's just getting going with some mobile stuff, and his clientele is very different than some other areas. It really does depend on where you're at, how you're going to run this, and who you're going to service.
Because he was asking me questions about just getting started in the mobile, what my opinion on it and stuff. Because in the mobile game, I guess I'm still kind of fairly young compared to other people. And we were talking, and he was like, "What about body shops?" I was like, "I hardly service any." I was like, "Mine's mainly repair shops." He's like, No. I've got like a body shop on like every corner up here. I was like, oh, yeah, that's totally different than down where I'm at. So,
yeah, I don't know if the salt or the snow and the ice plays a role with, how many body shops you're going to see. Cause I mean, that's the thing around here. The snow is going to fly pretty quick here. We already had a couple, and then everybody's in the ditch and sliding into things and crashing. So your body shops automatically have a lot. It's that white gold falling from the sky, that maybe down south or in the southern states, you don't necessarily have that on a consistent basis. I don't know. I'm not well versed in what's down there, but that would be my guess anyways, as to why you might see more up here.
Yeah. Here it's like the moment those little ice crystals start falling, people slow down to like a half a mile an hour and scared to move. And so,
yeah, he shut down with an inch of snow.
That's literally, that's how it is here.
Sure.
If there's any snow on any road, they'll shut down the schools completely until the roads are cleared. So,
sure. Well, I mean, I get it. If the city or the state is not equipped to take care of it with salt and plows and stuff like that, and nobody is familiar driving with it, it totally makes sense. And you can make fun of people for that all you want, because that's the thing, up here, oh, you guys can't drive with an inch of snow. But yeah, okay, well, we get to do it every year. We have experience. We've done it before, and still people are terrible at it. But if you would never experience that, or very rarely experience that, and all of a sudden you're, a 4,000 pound vehicle is sliding as you're stomping the brakes. That's a scary thing. You don't know what to do.
Well, see, in our area too, you get some like drastic changes in temperatures. And so like, I don't know how it is where you're at, but black ice is a pretty big thing where we're at. So it's like, cause it could be snowing and then it'll warm up above freezing, snow melts. And then as soon as the sun goes down, freezes over. And next morning it's just sheets of ice. So
I'll tell you my opinion on black ice, and not everybody agrees with me on this, but I don't think there is such a thing as black ice. I think it's just ice that you didn't see, that you weren't able to catch that ice. It's not invisible. Yeah. It's not a mystery. You just didn't see it. And then you slipped out. You definitely went in the ditch or crashed into another car, but you weren't able to see that ice. That's all, but it was there. You just gotta look. Anyways. It's, you live up here, odds are you're going to end up in the ditch at one point or another, but you just take it slow. And, that's the key. Don't be in such a rush once that snow starts flying. And of course there's a lot of trucks up here, which maybe that's why I'm so busy at these transmission shops, because I'm doing 6L80s and 6L90s. Like, I'm doing 4 or 5 of those a week with my mobile gig. And this is a part-time mobile gig, and I don't specialize in Chevy 4-wheel drive trucks. It's just, that's what I get calls on every single day.
is another 4L60 no 4L80 or 6L80, 6L90.
Yeah.
In the GM trucks. They're out of control how many of those are going out on a regular basis. Do you see the same thing where you're at?
Yeah, and I just picked up two pretty big accounts. Both of them are wrap shops, transmission shops with wraps. But they called me. One of them called me in for a Nissan. Actually, the other one called me in for a Nissan too. That required the CD and wrap. Can't do it.
Sure.
And I was like, well, what do you guys usually use? Oh, we use wrap. And so I had a conversation with them, and I ended up picking up both of those shops to where they're only using wrap as like the last resort now. So that's kind of helping out quite a bit.
Dude, if you have a Jasper supplier in your area for transmission shops, seek them out. I was talking to the Jasper rep where I'm at. He just happened to be at a shop that I was at, and I was talking to him, and he's like, oh, you do this? Because I was programming a GM transmission. Imagine that. And he sells them like crazy. Imagine that. And right now, and I'm sure they'll fix this, so I don't know how long it's available, but right now, after they switched over to TLC, the Techline Connect for General Motors, the Jasper people were selling, I don't know how they were doing it, but they were doing the wrap thing with their transmission in order to sell their transmission. So you buy a transmission from them, they send you this wrap box, and then you can program it as well, and you don't have to do anything else with it. You buy it from Jasper, and then you can program it. You're good. But the setup that they had does not work with the TLC because of the processor. And so they are struggling to get whatever needs to be fixed in that as far as DrewTech goes on that side. And so they're looking for people right now, like mobile programmers, to fill that gap so they can still sell their transmissions and say, yeah, just call this guy. He'll program it for you once you slap it in there, because our wrap box is not going to do that. And again, I don't know how long it'll be until they fix it. I'm sure they will, but it's an opportunity at the moment. I've gotten some business from that. So, I mean, for anybody else listening out there too, this is November 23rd. I just talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and that was the case. So,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's that I'm kind of struggling right now with my mobile. Not that I don't have the work coming in. I've got too much coming in, I guess you could say, with everything else going on. So
yeah,
it's just, which I'm pretty sure it's the same with you. It's like, you go to school and you probably get 5 phone calls while you're at school, and it's like, I can't. I was like, today I had to reschedule to, if they're even still going to be available till next week, because I just couldn't get to them any this week at all, because I'm shutting down Thursday and Friday this week, and it's just, I'm booked out tomorrow, and so it'll have to be next week. So
yeah. When I have a full load at school, it's tough because I can't leave until the afternoon. And so let's say I have one day already booked out. So I have Monday already booked out. I have 3-4 jobs. So like 3 is like really pushing it to get done after school. And so then somebody else calls me, and I'm like, I can't get to you until, tomorrow afternoon. Some shops are fine with it, but some of them, they want a quicker service, or they can find a quicker service. So
yeah,
it is what it is. But like I mentioned earlier, I gotta make some decisions in the future. Cause unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way you look at it, my mobile thing keeps growing. Right. I'm not marketing it, but it's still growing. And so either I have to cut back on that and just, I don't know, tell people no, or raise my rates a bunch, or stop answering my phone. I don't know, something there, or, pick a different path to proceed. And I don't exactly know which direction I'm going to go yet, but
yeah, I mean, that's me. So I'm about to, programming, not so much, just because I would say, you're in the business, about I'd say 98% of programmings are smooth, knock on wood,
sure,
because tomorrow I'm going to have a difficult one, but 98% of them smooth. It's you're in and out. It's quick money. But the mobile diag, it's the diag part of it. I'm about to really raise my rates on that.
Yep.
If you want me to diagnose it, that's fine. Just drop it off at my shop, and we'll do it there. It's just a little bit more set up. I've got my own lift and all that stuff compared to rolling around on a concrete floor or gravel because their shop's too full for you to put a car in it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of started passing it to my shops. My diag rates is literally going to double on December 1st. It's going to double. So if you want me to come mobile, it's like, yeah, I'm still available to go mobile for diagnostics, but it's going to be this. Or if you still want it at your original rate, you can bring it to my shop and I'll do it for the original rate. So.
Gotcha. That's a nice option. I mean, it's so hard to schedule your day with diagnostics in there because you don't know what you're going to run into or how long it's going to take you at that specific shop. And then if you've got 3-4 after that, it completely messes up the whole day.
Yeah. I mean, I had one, it was kind of out of my area, I guess, where I usually work, but I was just trying to help the shop owner because of, where he's at in the industry and stuff. And I ended up going to his shop. It was like 3 or 4 different times on just a vehicle that, I mean, I personally wouldn't have put $5 in, but the owner of the vehicle sunk a lot of money into, and it just kind of got to the point. It was like, you got to kind of, I'll have to refund your money. I can't continue to come back because it was just one of those ones where it's like you're about to be into it for days on end trying to figure out the issue. So, and it's hard to schedule that, and so
100%. When it turns into, it's going to be a project, there's a lot of stuff wrong with this, or it's tuned and deleted and all this stuff. And I've learned to say no to those pretty quickly, but that's the sort of thing that can really drag you down.
Oh yeah.
Fast.
And then you try and explain to the shop, it's like, well, I got to charge you for this. This is, what do you mean? You're usually just this. It's like, this is a totally different situation than normal. And so just having those conversations just suck. And I'm just, you want me to diag? Sure. But it's going to cost you now. So.
Yeah. Intermittence is the other one that I've actually come to the point where I'm pretty much say no. The only thing that's gotten me is like, they'll call me and they won't tell me that it's intermittent and I show up. Yeah. And then they're like, well, yeah, it only does it like once a day. And then I'm like, I'm already there. It's already on my schedule. Okay. I guess I'll spend an hour on it, but then I have to charge if it doesn't do it. But I just tell people on the phone, I'm like, I don't do intermittents. You get it to consistently happen. I'll come look at it. I can't work that into my schedule because I can't spend 3 hours trying to get this thing to act up. It just does not work.
I've gotten to the point on intermittents. It's like, we really need you to come. I said, that's fine. I said, but I'm going to charge you from the minute that I show up till the minute that I leave, because I'm not going to go there for my normal diag fee and be there for several hours trying to make something happen. It's just, so typically that kind of shies it away. And then I've had a couple that's like, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. And we just need to get it figured out. So.
Yeah. And sometimes they're at their wit's end, and it's consistent enough, but intermittent at the same time that they know they have to get it resolved. But yeah, you almost have to clear your schedule for it to say, well, I need to clear out 3-4 hours for this thing in order to catch it and figure out what's going on. And unfortunately for me, it does not work well when I'm trying to do it in the afternoons after school, because
then you run into one of those times. It's like, are you going to be there after the shop closes and all that fun stuff? So,
oh yeah. Yeah. We've had plenty of, hey, could you just leave the keys in the car? I'm not going to get there until X time. I'm doing it in the parking lot in the dark or whatever. And it's getting cold this time of year, so that's not exactly the funnest thing in the world, but yeah, I still love it though. Honestly, boy, I really do love doing the mobile stuff. It's super challenging, but I think that's why I like it so much, because it's not easy and I don't know what's coming. It's not monotonous. there's always something new coming at me. I'm always learning something. And I think that's why I like it, even though it's such a struggle some days to get through everything.
Oh yeah. I like to, like I like solving puzzles, I guess you could say. So that's what kind of attracts me towards the diagnostics. Cause I mean, turning wrenches is fun and working on cars is fun, but just the puzzle solving and that's what it is mobile. Cause typically, I mean, now I have some shops that call me if it's got a check engine light, they just automatically call me. They don't even do any diagnostic work. They just call me in. Yep. But then I've got others where they've already sunk 3,000-4,000 into it, and they're like, can you come take a look at it? And then it's, so, but like you said, it's fun, but sometimes from a business standpoint is the juice worth the squeeze? Is my fun worth the money that I'm losing doing it? So,
yeah, exactly. You have to put on the business owner lens to look at some of this stuff and say, okay, especially if it's going to be your main occupation, like, what are these numbers you'll look like at the end of the month, at the end of the year? I have to prioritize and say no to certain things and seek out other things because that's going to make the most sense for me. And then, maybe throw in some challenging things here and there, I guess. But, even some of the more profitable stuff is definitely challenging when you're trying to learn it. I'm trying to get into the key thing right now. Yeah. I have a bunch of key stuff I got from Isaac. I just got some leashy stuff. So that's a rabbit hole that I'm going to waste days on. But I see a lot of profit in it and I keep getting more and more calls on it. So I want to be set up and prepared and have that, available to my customers. So
yeah, I did the same thing. It was probably about 6 months ago. Well, I've had a key machine for well over a year now. And I've had the IM608 and the Key Tool Max, but then probably about 6 to 8 months ago, I was like, nah, diving in head first. Let's just see what happens. So I've got some leashy stuff. I'm not good at picking it. So if you want a lock picked in 10 seconds, I'm not the guy to do it. If you want it picked in 10 minutes, if you're good with 10 minutes, 15, 20, I'm your man. But but the keys, and then I've really dove head first, probably, like I said, about 6 months ago into board work, EEPROMs and all that stuff. Like to the point where I reached out to the class that you went to, Mike and Pedro. I reached out to Mike and I was like, hey, can I host a class? Just because I wanted to go to the class, and so literally next Friday and Saturday, Mike and Pedro is going to be here. We're going to have 20 students and just do his EEPROM class. I'm excited about that. So
that's fantastic. Yeah, I actually went to that one twice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went in Vegas and then out in New Jersey too, and they do it. There's similar things that they cover, but they do it different each time, and then so much of it is hands on. So it's like whatever you want to learn about, you spend your time on that. And boy, I also find that stuff extremely interesting, and I want to crack every module open and start messing around with them and learn what I can.
I'm the same way. It's like, ooh, what used module can I attempt to do and stuff. It's to the point now, like where I kind of got into it, where like they're over there on the table, but I've got 2 different shops from other parts of North Carolina that sent me modules because Chrysler PCMs, new ones, you cannot get them right now, and so I did 2 used modules, and that's kind of another avenue that I've been playing around with. But like you said earlier in the thing, it's when do I have time? So
right. Yeah. Every new project you take on, it's like, okay, where am I to fit this? Or what else am I going to take out so I can do this new thing?
Yeah. Which that was kind of, I don't know, that was the driving factor for STAT. So the repair side was, it's like, where do I see myself 10 years from now or whatever it is. So it's like, so I was like, that would be a good thing because then I can, you know, if I don't want to be mobile, then I've got a shop that I can kind of lean back on and work. Or if I don't want to be mobile, then I've got the shop running, helping bring income in while I do board work or, you know, what have you. So that was just allowing, I mean, I'm suffering right now, but I'm hoping within the next year, my suffering will maybe have a glimmer of light at the end of it. We'll check back with me next year. We'll
All right. Yeah. We'll do it. We'll do another check-in and see where you're at. That's a good way to think about it, to have almost, you know, this could obviously be really successful for you, but also it could be just sort of a backup, you know, fail safe for you too. That was one of my other questions was what are your plans going forward? But so I mean, it sounds like you're just ramping everything up.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm backing down on the mobile. I'm not shutting down mobile, but I'm backing it back down, and I'm focusing heavy on the repair side. I still got a little bit of pieces to get put in place before I swing hard at like all the advertisements and everything, but that I'm really starting to push hard towards that. I'm backing away from mobile, not shutting it down, just backing away from it. And the tooling, because both of those, I feel if you're looking at it as a business standpoint, both of those as a business owner are better because the mobile is fun, but like I said earlier, it requires a special person. And I'm not saying I'm special. Hell, I'm half retarded most of the time, but you know, it requires, you know, that person with the it factor that's like, that just understands something whenever you look at it. And a lot of people don't understand it. And that's no knock on anybody, but you know, voltage drop, people, you know, how much in the industry can do a voltage drop check? Hardly any. But right. I'm not going to say hardly any, but the numbers are fairly low.
Right.
And so am I going to be 60 years old still sitting in a van running around? Or if I'm trying to grow a business, do I want to put my time and efforts into something that's going to be more rewarding and fruitful in my future? So I'm slowly backing away from the mobile. Then once I get the shop kind of up and going, I got a technician. Like I said, my brother, he's wanting to kind of come in on the business. He's going to be the advisor. I'm going to be the main person, I guess you could say. Once I kind of get those little places and pieces in place, I'll probably ramp back up the mobile again. But I'd like to eventually have somebody in the vans. Well, I don't have the van anymore. I got rid of that yesterday, but
the Nissan?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, like I said, I'm pulling back on mobile, and so
okay.
With programming, you could program out of a Pinto. You don't need much room. And
I did it out of a Buick for a while, so I know.
Yeah. So I got rid of the van. It was, you know, it came back to business mindset. Do you continue paying for something that's going to potentially be sitting for a while? So as a business owner, I was like, we'll get rid of the van right now. And then later on, whenever I go to ramp it back up, depending on what I want, you know, might get me something. I don't know if I'll go back with the MV2500, maybe something smaller, but get another van and try and locate a technician to put in a van. I mean, like Keith Perkins, I mean, his crew's freaking awesome. Maybe I can try and find somebody like what's in his group. So
yeah, he's got quite the setup going there for sure.
Oh yeah.
Did you have anybody specific that either inspired you or helped you along during this process? And I guess if you don't want to name them, you don't have to, but I'm just curious if there was people that were just there helping you along, giving you tips or even inspiring you. Maybe they didn't talk to them, but.
So I happen to be in the triangle of excellent people, I guess you could say. industry leaders within an hour's reach of me. So Robert Silverstein or Dutch, he's been on yours. He's literally an hour south of me, and I go down to his shop and talk business at least once a month. Isaac's like an hour from me, and him and I are on the phone daily. If it wasn't for Isaac, and this is no lie, if it wasn't for Isaac, I would not be where I'm at right now, and that's the God's honest truth. And then Lucas Underwood, I mean, he's right above me, and him with the podcast. It's just, I've tried to surround myself, but. So Dutch and Lucas, as far as like business standpoint and being business owners, both of them have kind of held my hand and was like, "Hey, dummy, you're acting fucking stupid right now." Sorry, you can bleep that out. But like, hey, you're acting stupid right now. And it's like, let's reel it back in for a little bit and try and figure it out. But with Isaac, it was the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and that's kind of how Isaac and I met. We both worked for a not so great individual at different times, and whenever he found out I worked there, he reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, be careful. You might want to watch out." And sure enough, what he recommended happened, and that kind of sparked a friendship. And he was like, "You need to go mobile like right now." And so he's kind of been the person standing behind me, kicking me right square in the ass, like, "Hey, Brandon, come on, let's go." So
okay.
What about you? Tell me about Sean. What made Sean want to do this? Because you've asked a lot of people, but what's really made Sean want to do this?
Do this as far as the mobile stuff?
Yeah, and be a business owner. See, I just flipped the script on you because I watched your eyes look at me like, "Why did you just ask me that?"
So I don't know if there definitely wasn't anybody that told me go do this mobile stuff. Probably the opposite, actually. As far as you don't want to do this mobile stuff, but there were some people that I saw that were doing it successfully. And this would have been 2017, 18, when I had started teaching and I had stopped working at Firestone. And so I stopped actively working on cars, and I immediately felt rust setting in, and I didn't like it because I wanted to be up on everything. If I got to be up in front of people, instructing them, telling them about things, like, I want to make sure it's legit and I'm not just rehashing stuff that I did. Even if it is 3-4 years ago, that's a big deal in this industry, right?
Oh, 100%.
I want to be current on what I'm instructing on and relevant, right? So it was either try to go back to, work for a shop, which I actually tried for a real brief period of time. I went to a shop and it sucked. It was, they wanted me to do oil changes and tires. Like, even though they said at the interview they didn't want me to do oil changes and tires, that's how it goes. And I was like, that's not what I wanted. I wanted, the high level repair stuff that interests me and challenges me. Right.
Yeah.
So anyways, I see people doing this out on Facebook and YouTube channels. So some of the ones that I can think about was Keith DeFazio. His YouTube channel is pretty big at that point. The New Level Auto was just doing these like 5 to 10 minute videos of just crushing these diagnostics that would take other people hours. Right. And, Robert Plensinson, I think I'm saying his last name right. He would post stuff in Facebook groups about how he did his mobile stuff, and all these interesting case studies and the stuff that he would see. I'm trying to think of some of the other guys back then that were doing it. Even Scanner Danner, Paul Danner, he was doing some mobile stuff where he would go to shops to figure some of this stuff out. I had taken a Scott Schotten class at Vision, and he was talking about how him and his company or his group would do that. Those sort of people that I didn't even realize it was a thing that you could do that. Like, I had no clue. I'm like, wow, okay. And so that's what inspired me to look into it, buy a J-Box and a voltage maintainer and go out there and try to do this stuff. And it just sort of snowballed because I enjoyed it. And the word spread around town, like, hey, this guy does this. I don't know why it helps when they say, oh, he's a teacher, right? Like, it doesn't make me any more special than the next guy, but
Yeah.
when people call me, be like, hey, we heard you're a teacher and you do this stuff. Like, that's what I hear on the phone. I'm like, yeah, I teach the basic automotive stuff, but yeah, cool. That's fine. I'll come do these crazy things for you. But, yeah, it just sort of snowballed. And like I said, it is very challenging. It has been very challenging, and I like it because it's challenging. So I keep doing it. And actually it's turned into a lucrative, self-employment too. I've been actually surprised. I'm happy about that, right? That's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of me. It was there was one guy in this area. Well, he's still kind of here, but not necessarily in the area that I'm at now, where I work at, or service, but some of the shops that I was at, and I never really thought about it. It's a guy named Jim Garrido. His half scanner will travel is his little slogan. But I'd always heard about him, literally never seen him. Most of the time I was in dealerships, but then whenever I went mobile, I heard of, or not mobile, independent, I kind of heard about him. But whenever all this stuff happened at some of my other dealerships, and Isaac reached out to me to have a conversation, just talking, and he brought up mobile, that was the first time that I literally was like, well, hot damn, I didn't even really think about that in that essence. And so, I don't know, here I am now. So,
I had actually tried a mobile repair back in 2011. I was between shops and I'm like, I'm going to go do this mobile repair. And I did this in January in Minnesota. Now, had I done it in like June, maybe my whole course of career would have been completely different, but I did it in January. I'm like, this sucks. Like, cause I'm working on cars in parking lots and stuff and it's 20 below. I'm like, nope, that's not happening. That was very brief that I attempted the mobile repair thing, but the diagnosis, you can make it happen.
Oh yeah. Like whenever I first went mobile, whenever I went mobile, I got aggravated. I was that technician. I got aggravated at the shop and pretty much told the managers how I felt, and I packed up my shit that day, and the next day I went mobile. But I was like, well, we're trying to figure out income and all that stuff, and so I applied at the heck is it called? I think it's called Your Mechanic or something. It's a mobile repair thing, but it's a big corporation, and you're 1099 through the corporation as like your own little boss or whatever. And I applied there. I took their little test, and they're like, well, we would like you to be the district lead technician or something like that. But it was the same thing. It was like repairs, but you're in the parking lot doing repairs. And then whenever they offered me, hey, you can do this, my mobile stuff kind of started creeping up, and I was like, I think I'll just kind of stay with the mobile diag, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, but at the same time, it was, I was offered it, but then I don't know if I would have enjoyed it. So.
Right. Do you think there's I think there is a value in working for yourself and calling the shots, but how big of a thing is that for you, being in charge of your own destiny and making your own schedule and calling the shots? Is that a big thing for you? Is that part of what attracts you to what you do?
Yes. And, yes and no. So take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt. Mm-hmm. So, I joined the Marine Corps whenever I was 17. went to boot camp at 17, turned 18 in boot camp. And the first 8 years of my adulthood, I was in the military. So and then I grew up in a military family. So that's just all I knew my entire life. Whenever I got out of the Marine Corps, I completely realized that civilians fucking suck. I mean, they just did. It was like I'm used to family unity. Everybody loves each other. Let's make sure that we're growing as a team. And then whenever I went into shops, it was like, nah, fuck you. Sorry. It's like, nah, screw you, man. I'm just here for me. And you got bosses that are only there for their paychecks. And I don't know. I bounced around between shops, and it was mainly just trying to find that unity or that home, I guess you could say.
Okay.
And then, I don't know. Now that I'm been my own boss, I'm able to find unity, because what am I going to do? Tell myself shut up? So.
Sure. Yeah, there's definitely something to that for me to be in charge. I mean, you're still, providing a service. You got customers that are kind of calling the shots, but hey, if I want to tell somebody I can't get to it today, that's my call. If I, maybe it's not the best business decision, but if I don't want to answer the phone today, I don't have to. And having that freedom, maybe it's even an illusion, I don't know, but at least having that illusion of freedom, it's definitely something that's attracting to me that I enjoy. Like during the summer when this is my full-time thing, I like being able to say, Friday, I'm heading up to the lake, so we're not doing mobile jobs today. That was not the case at Firestone. That when I was a tech, like, you got your vacation days, and you better plan those out specifically and let everybody know a month ahead of time. And maybe you can't get the time off, and I don't know.
Yeah, that was now my first summer mobile. I mean, my clientele wasn't built up, so I had a little bit more free time. This past year, I had no time. But that first summer, it was like you said, it's Tuesday afternoon. I'm going to hit the lake, because, I live on a lake, and so I just, it's like, yep, I'm going to put the boat in today, and we're going to head out. And it was just nice to have that. But now I don't have time to do that. So I don't know if it's better or worse. Maybe I should go back and work for a shop if I can only work 40 hours a week.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So you could turn it off at the end of the day, right? Because when it's your business, then it becomes very difficult to actually shut everything off and turn everything off. So
it's hard saying no to. Like I had a shop. I've serviced them a couple times, but I wouldn't consider them my customer, if that makes sense. I've only been there a couple times. And he called me and he was like, "Hey, I'm in a tough spot. I really need your assistance." I was like, "All right, well, what do you got going on?" He's like, "Oh, well, this vehicle." He then starts laughing. He's like, it was here before you were born." And I was like, "Nah, I'm out." Well, I didn't say it like that, but I let him finish his conversation, like explaining it. I was like, "Yeah, I'm not really interested in that." And he was like, "No, I really, really need you." I was like, "No, I'm not interested."
Yeah.
But being my boss is I can say no. Whereas if I was in a shop and they're like, "Here's this 1983 Chevy car that's beat to hell. I need you to work on it." And it's like, well, I either work on it or I go home and not get paid. So.
Yep.
But sure. I told the shop, I was like, no. He's like, "Okay, how much would it cost for you to be out here?" And I told him a number, and he said, "That's more than what the car's worth." And I said, "I understand that." That's where I'm at in this situation. So,
Right.
So you get perks like that, but you also get the perks of being in your shop at 5 a.m. trying to get stuff going, and so.
Yeah, for sure. Nothing's free. That's for sure. So are you going to be doing any like trade shows or anything, because you won the best booth at ASTE, right?
And I was surprised by that, but yes, I did.
Okay. You got plans to do any of those in the future?
Actually, yes. I'm trying to debate if I want to spend the money back to being a business owner. If I want to spend the money this month and get a couple $100 discount, or wait till next month. But we're planning on going to Vision, so I'm going to have a booth. And you've seen the cluster o fuck, I guess you could say, of my booth.
Well, people are just taking stuff from your booth and walking off. That was the thing.
Dude, it was insane. And, you know, I told you I had Heather. Heather had just started, ASTE was about 2 months ago. Heather had only been working with me for about 3 weeks. And she was like, I was like, I don't know what to expect when we go into this, so we're just going to go into it. We're going to figure it out. And she was like, I felt like I was a bouncer. She's like, I had to stand next to the stuff and nudge people no, you got to pay for that.
Yeah.
But I was only at my booth, so I could only focus on my booth. And I felt like there was a lot of people. But then afterwards I was told, yeah, your booth was the only one like that. I mean, people were at the other booths, but yours was the only one where it was like a crowd trying to get into your booth. And I was like, yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all. So, but we're playing it a little bit different. We're going to go to Vision. I think we're going to do 2 booths at Vision. Vision's booths are a little bit bigger than ASTE's, but I think we're going to have to run 2 booths. It's just too much traffic at ASTE. And if it's anything remotely like ASTE, I'd much rather just spend a little extra money and be comfortable than do what yeah, but the best booth thing, it really caught me off guard, because I was just sitting there gnawing on a cookie whenever they were giving out the awards, and they're like, Jarhead Diagnostics, and I'm like, what the hell? I was like, all right, let's go.
That was cool, and yeah, it was great stuff. Obviously, that's why the people are there.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was good. I mean, like you were trying to find a place to do your thing, and I was like, take my room, man. It's yours. Yeah. Here's a key. with the upside down chair.
I'm just going to do that at every place that I go now. Even if the table works, I'm going to do the chair upside down.
Yeah. How are we supposed to mount these mics? I don't know. Oh, let's take this chair, turn it upside down, mount the mics. We're good now, buddy. Yeah.
So that worked for all except for one of the interviews. One of the guys that was there, he just was leaning on the chair, and he kept hitting the chair, and I couldn't save the audio from it. But otherwise,
was that the owner and tech from Arizona or whatever it was? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it was good talk with him, but I couldn't salvage the audio.
You kept hearing this.
Yeah, right.
Let me pull. He kept pulling his book out and writing down. I'm like, man, just get in the moment and talk on the podcast. You ain't got to write notes. Just
right, exactly. But yeah, that was fun. I think I definitely will bring my stuff to Vision, but I was debating. I was like, oh man, I kind of just want to be there and enjoy it. Yeah. Because it is a lot, as I'm sure you know, right? To be there, to be with everybody, to be on the whole time, and then do your thing on top of it. That's a ton to manage. I was exhausted, and again, I'm sure you know exactly, if not more. But I was exhausted after that weekend. I've never talked so much in my life.
Well, see, that was me. It was like, whenever I signed up to be a vendor, I asked Trisha and Maddie, who's in charge of ASTE, I was like, am I allowed to attend classes under my vendor? And they're like, yeah, that's, you're part of the show. You can attend a class. I didn't even get a chance to attend a class because it was like, I felt like every time I walked out of my room, it was, somebody stopped me. And to be honest with you, all joking aside, I feel like I'm just, like I said, I'm just a retard from North Carolina. But I swear to God, that was the most humbling experience whenever we went to ASTE, and everybody's like, Brandon, Jarhead Diagnostics, shake my hand. It just, it was a very, very humbling experience, to say the least. I mean, I didn't really think that. I don't know. I guess it, like with your business and with the the podcast and stuff, you don't think of it at the level that it actually is. And so I just think Jar, you know, I understand it's a business. I understand it does well, but I didn't understand. I don't even want to use this term, but I guess, you know, air quotes, the following. I didn't really think I had that, but it was like all these people kept coming up and shaking my hand at ASTE, and I was like, oh yeah, hey, and they're like, oh yeah, Brandon. And I was like, hey, do I know you? And they're like, yeah. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But then with that running joke that I think you started or somebody else, it's like everybody just needs to post their Facebook picture on their chest so you can be like, oh yeah, I do know you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it is humbling to say the least, because I have a terrible business acumen, and I don't do anything with the podcast as far as like trying to make money with it. I don't know. Yeah. Multiple people told me that I should, but I don't. And so I don't really look at like the download stats or anything. Like I have to go into an area of my podcast to do that. And I don't really check on it very often. But yeah, going to that and people are talking to me, and I'm like, I know it's getting out to people, but I guess I don't think about it until I actually like interact with everybody. And I'm like, oh wow, okay, people are listening to me talk every week. Like that's nuts. I'm just a dude that fixes cars. Yep. And I'm putting myself out there, but yeah, it's crazy when you figure out, you know, how you can affect people, positively. Of course, you could probably do it negatively if you wanted to, you know, you could have the same effect people negatively with an effort, but you know, what we've chosen to do, it's going to positively affect somebody else and maybe lots of people, which is pretty freaking cool. So yeah, humbled is definitely the word I would choose as well.
I mean, I don't know, like, I don't know, like, do you know the Humble Mechanic?
I know who he is. I don't know him though.
So like, I don't know. We've kind of chatted on Facebook and stuff, but even him, like, he made the comment to me. He's like, "Dude, you were a rock star AST." I was like, "I was just a guy there." I mean, I don't understand, but it's just, I don't know. I mean, it was nice, but at the same time, it was different, I guess you could say. I'm not used to that. I'm just used to being the average Joe in the crowd, I guess. So.
Sure. Well, that's where I feel most comfortable. So I know what you mean. Okay. Last thing I got on my notes. I need to know what your crypto plays are for the next couple months here. Where am I putting my money?
Oh, don't even get me started. I make one Facebook post that I made a lot of money on, and it's like, Brandon, you're freaking stupid. Well, either way, I made money on it, so I don't really give a shit.
Yeah, no, I thought that was kind of funny. It's funny the things that people get worked up about. But
so I've learned, if I want to really get excitement, I post that I got ADOS. I post that I invested in some crypto that I made money on, and
yep.
And I used an aftermarket scan tool instead of a factory one. And if I do all of that in one post, I think Facebook might break. So that's why I haven't done it just yet.
That's the trifecta.
Yeah.
It's a guy that he's using his aftermarket scan tool to buy crypto while doing an ADAS calibration all at the same time. Can I get Coinbase on my Autel? Is that an application I can download on there?
No, that's how you bought your Autel. Was you invested in not Doge,
Shanoob or whatever it is.
Yeah. You invested in that and you bought your Autel, and then you use that Autel to do an ADAS calibration on a Mercedes that's not even here. You did a Bluetooth ADAS calibration from California.
Yeah. Yep. And then you bought more crypto with that. It's a closed loop cycle. Okay.
Yep.
All right, dude. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap this up then. Unless you got anything else for me.
Nah, I mean, just a good conversation. So. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's going to do it for this episode. Just another big thank you to Brandon for joining me on the show. Definitely appreciate it. Enjoyed having the chat. I also want to encourage everybody to check out Brandon's website, all the tools that he offers. I will put the link in the show notes to this episode. But other than that, let's all get out there, start fixing the world one car at a time.